Hello. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Thank you for coming this afternoon to hear my talk. My name is Rahul Singhvi. I'm the CEO of a US-based company called National Resilience. And today, I'll speak about preparing for the next pandemic from the perspective of a private company. You were listening to some of the folks in the previous session that were speaking about this topic from the perspective of the public sector and from the government. We formed National Resilience in the middle of the pandemic because we were frustrated with the issues related to supply chain. And we felt that we had to fix this by building a company that would become the top athlete when it came to manufacturing of vaccines and therapeutics. We had to come up with a better solution so that folks, not only in the US, but everywhere in the world, had equitable access to high quality vaccines and at affordable prices. That was the mission by which we started this company. But we knew that we couldn't make a company like this that would only be able to address a pandemic which would come hopefully once in a blue moon. So there had to be a sustainable way of running a company like this. That is the central problem that we had to solve. And the important thing that we recognized was that same technologies that you need to make vaccines are the technologies that you need to address the problems of manufacturing for the new modality medicines that were emerging with the explosive unraveling of genomic data and the development of new curative therapies like cell therapies, gene editing. These type of technologies require the same skills that you need to make vaccines. So we felt that if we could create a company that would address a market where you needed manufacturing solutions for these newer modality medicines, you could have a warm base of people who could pivot in the middle of a pandemic and could make vaccines. So that was the thesis of the company, and I'm proud to say that over the past 2 years that we've been building this company, we have been able to create an end-to-end infrastructure to produce vaccines of all modalities. Live virus vaccines, inactivated vaccines, virus-like particles, mRNA vaccines, you name it, viral vectors. And we can do that while making a sustainable company without the handouts that you need from the government all the time. And this company, with its warm base, can pivot instantaneously to address potential pandemics. Now, that's great for a country like the United States, which is where we are based, and all of our infrastructure is 100% in North America at the moment. The question is, what do we do outside of the United States? Because frankly, the mission of this company is to make vaccines for everybody, irrespective of economic status, irrespective of geography, making sure that everybody gets it. And the reason is very selfish. Not only do we want everybody to be secure, but if, as you all know, nobody is safe unless everybody is safe. We knew this from this pandemic, where people who haven't gotten vaccines have resulted in not only incredible amount of casualties, but also the emergence of variants as this virus has replicated and created different types of versions. And we are just chasing those variants. If everybody got the vaccine, boom, you're done. Herd immunity is over. No more variants. The more you propagate this, the more problems you have. So you got to have this everywhere. And we also knew from this last pandemic that you cannot rely on the current system where allocation of vaccines are based on economics, politics, and where the manufacturing plants are. So unless you distribute manufacturing to different parts of the world that can sustainably produce vaccines, you cannot solve this problem. Or it is at least one of the solutions that you can get to. So how we want to do this is by creating satellites of national resilience in different parts of the world. And that is actually a very sustainable solution, because these satellites will have, because everything that we do is on the digital infrastructure, it's on the cloud, every satellite has can be empowered with the power of the central node, which is in the United States. So instantaneously, if you build a facility, for example, in this part of the world, they can get the power of what's happening in the US. It's not isolated. That's number one. It has the critical mass. It has the training. It has the warm base that it can get from the other parts of the world. And the reason for that is because these satellites are also serving global markets. They're not necessarily dependent for their sustenance on the local markets for producing product. So we believe that a combination of creating an end-to-end athlete, top manufacturing athlete in US, for example, and then creating satellites around the world where these satellites are able to get the data, get the intellectual horsepower, get global demand, can make sustainable satellites in different parts of the world where the workforce can pivot and produce vaccines at a moment's notice, and they are always up to date with technology, with the latest technology. What can we do by ourselves? This is what we're doing at the moment, but we are also aware of the fact that we cannot do this by ourselves. We need the support of governments and other parts of the stakeholders, as you've seen. And in these types of activities, you can accelerate the development of the infrastructure and development of the technologies by getting government support. What I mean by that is the governments can come in and can help us build infrastructure in advance, get the supply chain vertically integrated without having to put upfront money. And by doing that, we can accelerate these satellites in different parts of the world and make the world more secure. A third thing that the governments can do is that they can incentivize local production by ensuring that the companies that want to sell their products in their geographies are incentivized or given breaks to be able to produce product locally so that only then they can access their markets. So there can be economic policies that can be put in place to make these satellite units as viable as possible so they can stand on their own feet and be able to produce vaccines when the world needs it. So with that, I'd like to end and say that we are on our way to creating a stronger and more robust world, again, by building a company that can have the latest technology for vaccines and is able to spread that knowledge, can spread that economic model to different parts of the world and make the entire world more robust. Thank you.